Well, good evening, everyone. It is late here on Monday evening, Central Time here, just after 10 o'clock. We just got the most recent update from the National Hurricane Center, and we do have history. Hurricane Beryl has been upgraded to a Category 5 hurricane with sustained winds of 160 miles per hour. This is the earliest known Category 5 on record in the Atlantic Ocean. So I thought it was worth doing an update video here to look at Hurricane Beryl since we have made history. This hurricane is just incredibly impressive when you look at this infrared satellite imagery. We've got those blackish white cloud tops, just those coldest, tallest cloud tops wrapping around the eye. Very, very clear, visible eye here. We even have some extra storms that are even blowing up here almost outside of that center of circulation, but still a very tight hurricane here, possibly even still strengthening at this very moment. So, again, very historic storm. This is the earliest Category 5 on record by more than 2 weeks. Hurricane Emily back in, I think, 2005 was not until mid July. So, very, very historic storm here. Actually, earlier today made landfall north of Grenada here on one of these islands. A couple storm chasers, Brandon Clement and Jonathan Petramala, they were actually there and rode it out. Pretty amazing footage there. A lot of devastation on the island. I think I've seen reports maybe one fatality, but thankfully it wasn't worse than that. So now pretty much out in the open Caribbean here, moving off to the west northwest. Let's look at the latest cone here and information from the National Hurricane Center. So again, as of our 11 p.m. Eastern Time advisory, we have winds here of 160 miles per hour, moving west northwest at 22 miles per hour. So here is the center of our storm right here. Again, just there in the Eastern Caribbean, going to continue to move towards Jamaica. Jamaica does now have hurricane warnings in effect. Going to be very, very close. It's possible that the center misses to the south, but significant severe impacts will be felt in Jamaica one way or another. And then continuing to move off to the west generally. Again, as we can see here, likely to be a major hurricane into Wednesday morning, and then possibly not still a major hurricane. So that would be Category 3 or above by the time it were to make landfall, possibly in Jamaica, and then likely still a hurricane as it moves towards the Yucatan. Now, what we can see here is, again, as we've gotten a little bit further in time, we can see our cone of uncertainty here. So likely Hurricane Beryl goes through the Yucatan and emerges into the Gulf of Mexico, the Bay of Campeche here. And then a lot of models, which I'll show you in a second, start to show a curve off to the north, northeast, which certainly would make the Texas coast, even into Louisiana, under the gun for a potential second or third landfall there along the U.S. Gulf Coast. So that is worth watching. Again, we're still too far out. This likely a U.S. landfall would be sometime Sunday, Monday timeframe. So still slightly around, maybe just less than a week from now. But again, this is our current update here: 160 mile per hour winds. Let's look at, again, not only Beryl, but let's look at the current models and what they are showing for the future possibilities for Hurricane Beryl here. So let me look up the combination of basically all models and the hurricane models. And what we can see here is, again, relative consistency making impact into the Yucatan. And then generally speaking, everything is still clustered where it moves into the Bay of Campeche and then starts to make more of a northward turn. Now, some of these hurricane models still basically make landfall here somewhere in northern Mexico, whereas then some of them do show that curve up towards Louisiana or the Texas coast. So that's something that definitely bears watching. If we look at the GFS ensembles here, this shows a little bit more of a consistent kind of northward turn here once it reaches the Gulf of Mexico. So again, the GFS model here definitely favors this northward turn a little bit sooner. Still some models that go into Mexico or far, far south Texas, but actually a good collection of these models that actually bring the storm somewhere towards that Galveston to maybe western Louisiana coastline. And again, this will be sometime probably late Sunday or Monday. So again, there is some of that consistency that we're seeing. If we look at another kind of ensemble here, again, this black line is kind of that mean or that average result. And again, we see this northward turn once we get to the Gulf of Mexico. So all these details will be refined as we get closer. Again, we're still out in the Caribbean, Eastern Caribbean at that. So still multiple days away, but it does bear watching that there could be certainly a potential for a U.S. Gulf Coast impact here later on. So again, quite the incredible storm here. Category 5, earliest known Category 5 in the Atlantic Ocean ever, packing sustained winds of 160 miles per hour and likely gusts 185, 190 miles per hour. So, absolutely just mesmerizing storm here on our satellite, and certainly historic and record breaking already at the second named storm of the season. So, looks like it's going to be quite the active season ahead. Definitely keep your eyes on this if you live near the coast. Can't let our guard down just yet, but quite an amazing storm. Hope everybody enjoyed this update, and I'll see you back here for the next one.